There's a musician I've always wanted to learn a little bit more about. Why? Because last year he won a Lifetime Achievement Award. Now I do know a bit about him already. He's a renowned producer and phenomenal musician and is credited with popularizing the bouzouki in Irish music. But I wanted to dive into the details to really understand how this man, Dónal Lunny, shaped the music that we listen to today. Born in Tullamore, County Offaly in 1947, and raised in Newbridge, County Kildare, Dónal Lunny gave up a future in graphic design for the legendary life that he went on to lead. Think of the biggest names in Irish folk: Planxty, Moving Hearts, the Bothy Band, Emmett Spiceland, Mozaik. Lunny was a key member in all of them, often as a founder. He wasn't just a band member, he was a major producer in Ireland, arranging, producing and shaping not only his group's projects, but those for other major artists too. He was instrumental in founding Mulligan Records, serving as their in-house producer and musical director, a role that was huge in the success of Planxty. He also produced the landmark albums Andy Irvine, Paul Brady, and Welcome Here, Kind Stranger, and his credits include playing on or producing albums for international stars like Kate Bush, Elvis Costello, Sinéad O'Connor and Clannad. There's a concept I want you to hold on throughout this video. Think of it as organised chaos. I was recently reading an article by Micheál O'Sullivan about Irish music, and something he said really stuck with me. In short, Irish music isn't a sealed off art form, born and bred purely in Ireland. No, it's been profoundly influenced by music from Scotland, England, Wales, Europe and even beyond. It's a reflection of Ireland's turbulent history. It is a beautiful music, constantly evolving and shaped by the people, the history, the events, both national and deeply personal. It is what it is today because of all that has happened. It's complex, and though we humans love to label things, you can't just stick a single tag on it and say, this is exactly where Irish music came from. That's my super high-level summary of the point, but the key idea to keep in your mind is chaos. Dónal Lunny created chaos, beautiful chaos. He was a musician, a founder, a producer, a creative visionary, and an architect, famously taking a Greek instrument, the bouzouki, and completely re-engineering it to suit his needs. All of that brilliant chaos, beautifully organised into this fast-paced evolution of music, didn't just accomplish much, it inspired generations. Creativity rarely comes out of nowhere. It's inspiration in disguise. That's why it's so vital for people to try something different. You might just inspire the next generation of musicians, for example. So let's try to understand more about the wonderful chaos of Dónal Lunny, shall we? While enrolled at the National College of Art and Design, Donal began his musical journey with his older brother Frank and his childhood friend and future Planxty bandmate Christy Moore. A fun fact about this though, Lunny taught Christy Moore how to play both the bodhrán and the guitar.
I got a guitar, Donal showed me 2 chords on the guitar, that got me going. And then he showed me a 3rd chord sometime later.
The 3 lads were known as the Rakes of Kildare. If you want to know more about what a rake is, don't Google it. Check out this video here, where Hank Weedell talks about the Rakes of Mallow in particular, and he also plays an amazing version of it. But yes, the trio played primarily in local pubs. It was casual, just playing for the crack really. Things took off after a gig at Hugh Neeson's in Newbridge on Easter Monday 1966. He then played in a band called Parnell Folk, alongside amazing musicians like Mick Maloney and Sean Corcoran. From there, they formed Emmett Folk with Mick Maloney and Brian Bolger. They started a club at 95 Harcourt Street called the 95 Club, and this is where their distinct style began to emerge. As Lunny recalled, at that time we'd reached the stage where we had our own repertoire and developing our own identity rather than just singing everybody else's songs. We were taken quite seriously. Lunny and Bolger eventually merged with Brian and Mick Byrne from the group Spiceland Folk to become Emmett Spiceland. When Bolger left, they continued as a trio, scoring a #1 hit in Ireland with the single Mary from Globe.
I'm crossing the main ocean where the
Things were accelerating rapidly. In only 2 years, Lunny had already been part of several groups, with incredibly talented musicians. While all this was happening, Andy Irvine was travelling in Eastern Europe before eventually making his return home. In 1970, Andy Irvine and Dónal Lunny formed a musical partnership. They met after a gig for the Irish-Soviet Union Friendship Conference and created their own club night downstairs at Slattery's pub in Dublin called the Mugs Gig. This became a central hub for the scene, featuring guests like Ronnie Drew and the band Mellow Candle. Clodagh Simmons from Mellow Candle recalled the atmosphere. The place was always packed, and the atmosphere was amazing. I think one of the reasons it all felt so exciting was that you couldn't but be aware that they really were breaking new ground. Even before Planxty formed, something very powerful was germinating. The intricacy and the rhythmic complexity of their arrangements were something really fresh and unheard of. They were literally blowing the dust and cobwebs off some of that material and giving it this sparkling, dancing new life. It was exhilarating to witness, no other word. It was here in this fertile environment that the bouzouki came into play. Johnny Moynihan is credited with first bringing the Greek instrument into Ireland. So where does Dónal Lunny fit into this story? While Johnny established the initial tuning, Donal made a crucial modification. The bouzouki is often described as a giant mandolin, but its tuning was different. The original Greek bouzouki was tuned to C, F, A, D, and the C and F strings were tuned in octaves. One thick string and one thin string basically, playing the same note an octave apart. Johnny Moynihan changed the tuning to GDAD, but kept those lower G and D strings tuned in octaves apart. Dónal Lunny then came along and changed those low G and D strings to be tuned in unison, playing the exact same note, not octaves apart. This simple yet revolutionary change gave the instrument an entirely new voice. Have a listen to these two clips here to get a feel for how different it sounded before and after. We could debate who deserves the most credit when someone mentions the bouzouki in Irish music. It's truly thanks to the three, thanks to Johnny, Andy and Donal, with each of them contributing something unique.
Well, in fact, I have Andy to thank for that, because he had a bouzouki, a proper round-back Greek bouzouki in this big, like it was literally a pile of instruments in the corner of his bedsit. The neck was sticking out like that, and I started pulling it, and eventually I got it out, and I loved it. It just had a lovely sound, saying, I don't play it much kind of thing. But I was still playing it 2 hours later, and he said, listen, take it home, you can have it.
Remember that chaos I mentioned? Always try something different? But in my opinion, the timbre of Dónal Lunny's unison-tuned bouzouki feels perfectly suited to the wall of sound in Irish music when multiple instruments are played together. But let me know what you think about it. The formation of Planxty wasn't instant, but a gradual realisation. The partnership with Andy Irvine soon led to a reunion with childhood friend Christy Moore. In the summer of 1971, Lunny, Irvine and Uilleann Piper Liam O'Flynn got together to back Moore on his album Prosperous. The chemistry among the four musicians was so undeniable that they officially formed Planxty off the back of it in 1972. Though Dónal Lunny left Planxty a little over a year into the project, he did return later in 1979, taking on a production role, which we're going to get into more detail soon. But for Planxty, I have a video that goes into more detail about the story of them, which you can check out here. But something that stands out to me is what many people mentioned in the comments of that video. In the United States, listeners were often only familiar with groups like the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem, let's say, who by their own admission had to modify Irish music and Irish songs to suit their American audience. When people in the United States first heard Planxty, it was like finally hearing the real, authentic sound that they so craved. But let us know down in the comments if this sounds like you at all. So anyway, why did Dónal Lunny leave Planxty? And how did he end up in the Bothy Band? Despite Planxty's massive popularity and heavy touring schedule across Europe, Lunny was tired of the constant life on the road and was eager to explore other musical avenues. He played his final gig with the original lineup at the Edinburgh Festival and was subsequently replaced by Johnny Moynihan. The bridge between the two iconic bands was a recording project Lunny undertook in 1974. He was producing and playing on an album titled Celtic Folkweave by the duo Mick Hanley and Micheál O'Donnell. To flesh out the sound, Lunny assembled a group of exceptional backing musicians for the studio sessions. Matt Malloy on flute, Tommy Peoples on fiddle, Triona Ní Donal on harpsichord and vocals, Liam O'Flynn, uilleann pipes, and former bandmate from Planxty. The chemistry among this specific group was immediate, just like Planxty, and it was undeniable as well. The players who had gathered to support Hanley and O'Donnell decided to formalise their collaboration, leading directly to the formation of the Bothy Band later in 1974, with Lunny on guitar and bouzouki. Though the Bothy Band only lasted until 1979, their influence on the entire folk genre is still felt today. Following the end of the Bothy Band, Lunny was central to the reformation of Planxty in 1979. He produced and played on their comeback album After the Break in 1979, which featured a lineup including Matt Malloy. As the band evolved, adding musicians like Bill Whelan, Noel Hill and Noel Casey, Lunny remained the driving force behind it all, producing the 1980 album The Woman I Loved So Well. A significant achievement during this period was the recording of the suite Time Dance in 1981, which featured a full orchestra and rhythm section. This piece, performed during the interval at the Eurovision Song Contest, is widely considered the genesis of what Whelan would later develop into Riverdance. Lunny eventually left Planxty in early 1983 to focus on his new project, Moving Hearts. While still involved with Planxty, Lunny co-founded Moving Hearts in 1981 with Christy Moore and uilleann piper Davy Spillane. This group represented a bold sonic shift, combining Irish traditional music with rock and roll and jazz and electronic elements. Following the examples set by the band Horselips before, Lunny played bouzouki, synthesizer and vocals, while also serving as producer. Although Christy Moore left earlier on, Lunny continued with the band to release the acclaimed instrumental album The Storm in 1985, before the group disbanded later that year. After Moving Hearts, Lunny diversified heavily into production, becoming a pivotal figure in the industry, operating as a highly active independent producer rather than really just being tied to a single company. He was closely involved in establishing Mulligan Records along with Seamus O'Neill. The label focused on traditional and contemporary Irish folk music, producing a huge number of well-known artists. His production and session credits from this era are extensive, including work with Kate Bush on Night of the Swallow, Elvis Costello, Sinéad O'Connor, Clannad, the Waterboys. In 2002, Lunny reunited with his longtime collaborator Andy Irvine to found Mozaik, a multicultural band featuring American fiddler Bruce Molsky, Hungarian multi-instrumentalist Nikola Perov, and Dutch musician Rens van der Zam. In January 2012, Lunny formed a quartet called LAPD, an acronym derived from the first names of its members, Liam O'Flynn, Andy Irvine, Paddy Glacken and Dónal Lunny. The group performed a mix of Planxty classics and solo material until their final gig in October 2013. Following O'Flynn's departure, the remaining trio of Lunny, Irvine and Glacken recruited uilleann piper Michael McGoldrick and guitarist John Doyle to form a new band in January 2015. They named the group Usher's Island, a reference to the Dublin Quay where James Joyce's short story The Dead is set. This supergroup continues Lunny's lifelong trajectory of blending top-tier musicianship with traditional roots. Now, that last section was fast-paced for a reason. It perfectly illustrates his constant evolution. He was never stuck doing the same thing. Let's imagine something now. If Dónal Lunny had stayed only with Planxty from the beginning, sure, a lot of you would be happy to have 50 years of Planxty, but would the music have stagnated? Would it be the same? It quite likely might have. I stumbled across an interview article online, which the link is in the description. I highly recommend reading it, where Dónal Lunny talks about living in Okinawa for several years and immersing himself in the island's music and its traditional instrument, the sanshin, which, by the way, has now replaced the mandolin there behind me, like as you can see. I can play the sanshin a little bit myself. I'm self-taught, so I have very bad habits, and I should really get proper lessons. But this article resonated a lot with me personally, as my wife and I moved to Okinawa a few years ago. The one thing that really struck me immediately when getting here was the music. It shares so many similarities with Irish music in my opinion. Two islands on the opposite sides of the planet. Why so many similarities? It must be something along the lines of a natural or primitive connection that we have to music. The traditional way of singing here also shares some similarities with the Shannos style. Have a listen to a few examples here. It's quite hard to put my finger on exactly what it is with my relatively short experience, but it was the first thing that just jumped out at me. The rhythms too, many of the tunes are very similar to a hornpipe. Now, I made an executive decision not to play the sanshin myself. Maybe someday if I get better and get rid of those bad habits like playing the sanshin with a plek, you're not supposed to do that now. Maybe if I get a bit better, I'll do something with it in future. But what am I getting at here? I learned an incredible amount about Dónal Lunny while making this video, and I learned a ton from what he did. He didn't just accept things as they were in the early days. He seemed to be constantly looking to integrate other sources of music. He didn't shut down the idea of the bouzouki. He didn't close the door on Andy Irvine when he came back from his Eastern European travels. It seemed to me that he was always open-minded and curious in a way about what it would be like to integrate these other instruments and traditional musics with Irish music in so many ways. This was even evident in that interview I was talking about, the article online about his time in Okinawa. He was exploring the music while he was living here, and he even mentioned that there is an opportunity for merging the two music styles together in some way, and this is something I have proper personal experience with, and I have to agree with him. He's absolutely right. I definitely hope to do something on that myself for a bit of fun or a project someday down the line, but I'm not going to rush into it right now with barely any experience. But that beautiful chaos I mentioned at the beginning, he acted as like a catalyst for all other musicians around him, whether performing with them, producing for them, or simply supporting them. He was the glue that held a lot of them together, supporting and inspiring generations. All of these reasons and more are why he won the Lifetime Achievement Award at the RTE Radio and Folk Awards last February. So look, before you go, if you could hit that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments down below. It would really help the video out and reach a broader audience. And also, I'd love to hear from you and what you thought about it all. I have a huge amount of respect for Dónal Lunny and for what he did and continues to do. And look, I'll be honest, I personally felt a bit off after writing out this video, that I just didn't do it justice, you know. I actually had second thoughts for a lot of it on even doing it. I was literally sat here in my chair staring at my screen for ages at some points, but I decided to just do it and remind myself that I'm not trying to create the perfect video, but I'm just trying to learn myself and pass on some food for thought to you guys as well. As Micheál O'Sullivan said in that article I was talking about, that Irish music isn't basically a closed-off art form. And from what you can see with Dónal Lunny's achievements, he was very much at the centre of a lot of that evolution throughout the last 50 years. Take away from this that while preserving music is important, evolution of music is also natural and important. In some cases, it just might happen faster than what you're used to seeing. Just go with the flow at the end of the day. So before I finish up the video, just a wee reminder that there's still a 10% discount going on the shop using the discount code on screen. There's plenty of green stuff for you there to get your St. Patrick's Day stuff. And as well as that, I'd love to give a huge shout out to our channel members. Here's your names up on screen now. Thanks a million for your continued support. And also as well as that, let's extend a warm welcome to our new members. Ham on Hill, Robert Walsh, David Attingtimes, Tanya M. Lee, Mags Mick, Judy Pagel, Lisa Marie Kesker, and Nancy Wells. Sorry for any mispronunciations there. Please call me out in the comments if I got your name wrong. I'll fix it for the next video. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope maybe it gave you something to think about, or a different way of looking at other genres of music, even other traditional musics around the world. But let me know what you think about it down in the comments, and I'll chat to yous all there. But yeah, look, that's it from me. I hope yous all have a great day. Slán go fóill. Cheers. Here's my awful attempt at an Irish jig on an Okinawan sanshin. This is the Calliope House. Yeah, so the tuning, the tuning is CFC, so it's not the same as your mandolin or banjo or anything like that. So, and it's also fretless, which is, kind of unique. I can't for the life of me play a fiddle, so, naturally this is quite difficult, and I honestly don't play very often. But I could see if I can try play one of the Okinawan songs. If I can remember it. Let me see. You get the idea anyway. So it's been a while since I played it. It's actually really fun. I really need to get proper lessons. It's such a cool, fun instrument, and it's just reminds me so much of some Irish music, especially the hornpipes, as you could hear from that last one. I think it's that last one. I can't remember the Japanese of it, but it's played by a popular band in Okinawa called Begin. It's called Granda's Orion Beer, as far as I know. Might be wrong. Can't remember. But yeah, that's it. It's a cool instrument. This instrument was lent to me by a lady called Tomoko here in Okinawa. She teaches Irish dancing in Okinawa and Tokyo. She's an amazing dancer. So yeah, that was it. That's the Okinawan sanshin. Is it the new Bouzouki? I don't know. I mean, it absolutely could be if there was a fourth string, because you're kind of limited. A lot of Irish songs need 4 strings. That's why I picked Calliope House, really. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed.